your point about Christmas historically being commercial. I mean, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, as I understand it, that's a whole character that was created for Montgomery Ward, I believe, for Sears Roebuck or something to effect back in the day. And so Christmas, as celebrated in America, the tradition is of being commercial and more commercial. And in my experience, Rucka, that's where everyone really finds the benevolent happiness about it. Miss Rand writes about this. The cheerful decorations, the spirit of goodwill. I mean, these are the things that people enjoy, and the commercialization, the fabulous gifts that you can get. Nowadays, thanks to evil big tech, sent literally straight to your door. So Christmas, in my experience, is not a religious holiday.
Dagny, says Francisco, there's nothing of any importance in life except how well you do your work. Nothing, only that. Whatever else you are will come from that. It's the only measure of human value. And when I read that, I thought, well, come on, wait a minute. There are way more things about one's value rather than from how they do their work. But through time, I understand what this means. It means that the way you do one thing is how you do many things. So I'm sure that the person who is sloppy on their thinking in one area, or they don't care to improve or to be good in one particular area of their life, odds are they will be like that in all areas of their life.
On the one hand, music has always been an inherently conservative art form. This actually ties in with what Rucka said in his introduction at the very beginning of this session, that music as an art form, it's difficult to conceptualize, it's difficult to talk about. Even some of our greatest philosophers shied away from making general pronouncements on music. And even from the listener's point of view, developments in music tend to happen slowly and gradually. Otherwise, you completely lose your audience. If that's one of the reasons why a lot of 20th century art music, a lot of 20th century avant-garde music has almost no audience or a very small audience, because there's nothing for the average listener, the average concert goer or opera goer to relate to. So developments in music happen fairly gradually, and there usually is this connection with what earlier generations had done. There's still innovations, there's still changes, but it's always in the context of what the previous generation had accomplished.
Technology as such is man's tool of survival. It's the application of reason to the problem of survival. It's taking your reason and making it make a difference in reality. All of the things being equal, technology increases our power. It increases our productivity. It increases, gives us precious time, adds to our life. It improves convenience. All other things being equal, technological development is a great thing. It's the human means of survival.
If I'm going to be triggered by anything, let me be triggered by the very idea of triggers. By the idea that I will let myself be nudged into saying one version of Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays or Joyeux Noël or Happy Xmas versus another. As if, being in the trenches of the culture war is more important than my holiday joy and my own goodwill toward men. Now, I refuse on rational grounds, on the grounds of reason and reality. I am more important. You are more important than anything that is going on in the culture right now. Caring about how people express goodwill and about how you return it? Yikes. Talk about falling for triggers. Talk about snowflakes. No, goodwill still wins the day.
I mean, yeah, of course, schools need to be privatized. The public square, quote unquote, should be privately owned. People can make their decisions, the owners, while taking into consideration their clients, their customers, or just public opinion in general. They can decide what to display on their property. Schools should be private, where people can decide if they want to send their kids to a school with no holiday recognition whatsoever, or with certain holidays. I mean, the fact that we have public schools and public property, these are anti-concepts, I think. They're stolen concepts. I don't know what they are, but the idea of property connotes that an individual or a partnership of individuals owns it. So to call something public property is a contradiction in terms. And you see the types of problems we end with. It ends up chipping away at actual property. Your actual property is now compromised, but public property remains, you know, sacrosanct.
It's called the donut problem. You're in favor of absolute property rights. Yes, I am. Well, what if I buy up all the land around your house and say, you cannot cross my land and no one can cross my land to get to you? You would starve. You can't live without crossing somebody else's land. So either rights aren't absolute, or we have to accept that people can starve other people to death, imprison them, in effect. That's the only alternative. No, that's the rationalist alternative. What's the objective alternative? It's something called easements. Since you can't use your property in a way to violate the rights of others, deprive them of their life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, if you own the land around, you have to provide an easement. I mean, this goes back probably to 1200. It's in the English common law, the rights of easement, meaning the right to cross your land in another person's land in a peaceful way, because your land cannot communicate with others without doing that. That's well known. That's well established. There's plenty of law on that. But the rationalist doesn't think of that. He doesn't think of, well, wait a minute, the right to property cannot trump the right to life. See, in the cruder case, you'd probably see it. If I said, well, this is my knife, you can't interfere with it, so I'm going to stab it in your breast and kill you, and that's a use of my private property. No. Your right to property ends where somebody else's property begins, or where their right to life begins.
Giving up substantial values because they are mixed, because they have philosophical problems, that is not necessarily a sign of taking ideas seriously. It is all too often a sign of not taking values seriously, of being insufficiently selfish. Yes, it's a challenge to keep yourself consistently rational and fully virtuous while enjoying a world full of mixed values. But I believe you're up to the challenge. Anything less would be a sacrifice, and we'll have none of that. So I hope my co-hosts and my producers will allow me the presumption of speaking for everybody at the Ayn Rand Center UK in wishing you a very Merry Christmas and a joyous, passionate, happy life on Earth.